Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube? This is JBS, back again for a brand new review. Not necessarily a brand new movie, but technically a really older movie. Just like I've been doing all week long. I started off with Wonder Woman, which is a 2007 hit feature. I think that I just did Superman Doomsday. I can't remember the actual date and time frame when it actually came out. Let me give you a quick reader real quick, because this one that I just did, I skipped one that I thought I was gonna do, which was the Crisis on Two Earths, and instead, like, I did Batman Gotham Knight. So Superman Doomsday came out in 2007, but Gotham Knight, ironically enough, came out in 2008, if I'm not mistaken. Let me make sure though. I want to make sure I get everything perfect with it. Yeah, it did. One of the things coming off of this movie that I really enjoyed, this came before The Dark Knight, okay? Now, there are characters in this one, such as Ramirez from the Batman Begins and the Dark Knight series. She's actually featured in this one. There's a person by the name of Alan that's part of the MCU, that's part of the same legacy that Commissioner Gordon had developed in the Batman Begins. A lot of the stuff in this movie, it feels like it's coming straight off the Batman Begins, giving you somewhere in between what's going on, the dynamics in this point, before you get to the Dark Knight, because the Joker's not mentioned at any point in this whole entire thing. So, this is what I'm actually watching. If you go to Best Buy or Amazon, or if you go to, I think even Target has it, you get it for $14.99. You get the actual set of the actual, I think it's called Black and White, Batman Black and White, and it's really awesome. But the thing about this one that I really enjoyed is this is taken off of so many different anime directors and animators. This has multiple different stories in it. But I'm going to try to go and review them as fast as I possibly can. But I'm going to give you a quick synopsis of it. A collective of key events mark Bruce Wayne's life as his journey as a beginner of The Dark Knight, which is ironic because this is really segueing into The Dark Knight. So I got a lot of notes for this, so if I see me reading, it's because I want to make sure I give you the accurate description as best I can. It shows off with the first one, which is called Have I Got a Story for You? It takes place with, I think, about 4 different kids. One kid is just a skateboarder. I really kind of like the style of this animation, because it's kind of really laid back and chill. It's not too detailed as far as the extravagance of the face, and even like the character design is just really sloppy and weird, because when they're starting to describe different scenarios where they've had a day where they've seen Batman throughout the city, all 4 of them have different thought processes of how they think about Batman. One of them, which is the first one, he's kind of seeing Batman as like this living shadow. It's going really far back and forth. And you find out this is kind of the third section of it, because basically there are different sequences when things are happening, and they're finding out, okay, you saw him here, but this is where he's ending up. That's why he got to me. The second one was like this girl, she saw like a flying bat, where she thought because the guy that was the robber, he had a jetpack, and so he kind of saved her in that sense. Then the last guy, he was like talking about like there was a robot Batman. He got dropped off of this helicopter, landed down, stopped these guys. And you find out that's the first part of the thicket of the act, because this robber is trying to take over people. He's got 2 guns, and the stylization animation for this is so slick. It's so cool. I really liked it, because I was thinking coming into this I wasn't gonna look at it, because I was thinking like, man, like this is gonna be another Animatrix. And I haven't seen this in a long time, and I was thinking I cannot watch this and fall asleep. But there was never a point that I actually felt that way. It was just some dumbed down moments, because when it goes full circle, you got the main character that's like listen to all his friends like, man, I wish I had this experience. And then all of a sudden, like, you hear something bash through the screens, and then it's actually Batman in real life. And he's kind of like different and kind of like not as cool as kind of how they described it. But the scenario that happens is that when he's about to get attacked by the robbery, like you finally see the guy got a piece of glass, about to hit him in the back. You think he hit Batman, and really it's the kid that's been wanting to be a part of this action that used a skateboard and knocked the guy out. And Batman was kind of like, yeah, I think I owe you one, kid, good job, or something like that. I thought that one was really good, well done. I thought it was really well paced, and how it came all 4 together, I like how they did that. And it was really short. The next one was called Crossfire. This one actually is probably my favorite as far as the animation style, because the way that they depict Batman in this one, he's a baddie. Like, the dude is Diesel, the dude is like, he just looks intimidating. Because like the way the first starts off was like Detective Allen, he's kind of like talking dad on Commissioner Gordon, because he's like, man, we support our vigilante. And Ramirez kind of like, look, you're a good cop, like we need you, don't quit the force because you think that we can't be a part of this. And, you know, and I mean, I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, this dude don't know like what he's about to get in, because I remember how this all played out. But if it's my first time watching it, then I'm kind of be like, man, yeah, he might be right, because he might have a different perspective than what I've seen. But I know Batman, you know. And then they kind of go and they find out they're taking this guy that Batman had found and taking him back. I forget the name of the guy's name, but it's weird because this section of the area has been sectioned off, because in the events of Batman Begins, everything that happened when the fear toxin got released, they just closed that section off. And that's kind of like how Arkham City is as well. And I was like, did Arkham City pull this from this? Or, you know, I thought it was really cool how it all tied in together with Batman Begins and Arkham City. Anyway, moving forward. She goes and whips the thing and is like trying to talk some sense to them. All of a sudden they get caught in the middle of this war, this gang war between the mob and this Russian, and it's really crazy because like they're stuck in the car, and the mob Russian that's on the backside of them getting shot at, he's right up against the car. And they try to dive out, and all of a sudden, like I look at Alan, I was like, man, Alan's about to be done. All of a sudden, you see his leg up in the air, and it's so stylish, it's so cool. And he gets thrown on top of the roof, and he looks up, and it's like you just see Batman just diesel. And like he goes down there, he just starts to go and work. I was like, this is so awesome. And like he finally corners the last guy, because he captured Ramirez at this point. And when she was kind of like afraid and stuff like that, he was thinking he had a hostage. Batman had dealt with the other dude that he was feuding with, and like he's just sitting on top of this car while the flames are engulfing around his couch. And I was like, boy, I'd be scared. I'd be like, look, take the girl. Look, just leave it alone. But this dude gets bucked, and he's like, I will kill her, you know. And Alan, at first he was really hesitant, like of Batman. Of course he was talking bad about him before, but he's looking at his eyes. He's like, this guy's not worried at all. So he puts his gun down, and he's just like, look, I'm just gonna, you know, stay out of it. And he says one more word. The guy is holding her up. He says, no, you won't. He moves in a split of a second, like from that car all the way to that point. I was like, this is freaking epic. And then Batman kind of ties it off and was like, yeah, y'all two work with Lieutenant Gordon. He's got a good judge of character or something like that. He just dipped. I thought that was so cool. That was one of my favorites of this section. The next one is called The Field Test. It's kind of a more formal style of animation. Because it features Lucius Fox, who's working with the Batmobile. I thought that all that was cool about how they use like the electromagnetic to actually deflect certain things, and I didn't realize that Lucius was such a good shot. And I'm like, dang, Silver knows his stuff. And he kind of developed this for, instead of using it for the Batmobile, which they thought they were going to use, they were going to use it for his cowl, so he would never get shot. But come to find out, when he actually, this is so weird too, that there are sections of this that tie into the next part, because when the Russians and the mob stuff is going on, it all segues into each other, but these are all individual different stories, and they're not tied together in any way. They're not supposed to be. But anyway, like he kind of corners down both of the mob bosses. He literally has them both up by the necks, you know, and they couldn't really do anything against him because they couldn't shoot him. And one guy like gets bucked and shoots him, and it deflects and hits one of the mob bosses. And it's crazy because it was weird, because the guy, he like got shot, and Batman tried to save his life, and even still he threw a gun into the sewer. And I was thinking, why did they show that, you know? But anyway, like he came to realize he doesn't want to use that, because he's more than willing to put his life on the line, but he doesn't want to put anybody else's life on the line for it. And the next thing was, I guess, was called Working Through the Pain, where basically Batman is underneath the sewer, and there's this guy, I think he's induced with the fear toxin. He's really freaked out. And Batman gets shot, even though the guy gets scared away. And he's trying to make it through. He falls through, and you start seeing different glimpses of how Batman has been really trying to train himself to endure physical trauma, emotional trauma, through looking at endurance of pain, like being a missionary, like watching somebody get their limbs sliced off. And one of the things about this whole entire thing is super gory. Like there's a point where Batman, like when he got shot, like he was putting his finger into his wound, it was bleeding out, and he cauterized the wound. There was other scenes in the first part where like people are literally getting beat down, you know what I'm saying? And it's really gory. It's really gory. This is probably more gorier than actually Superman Doomsday. But anyway, what I liked about this episode was the philosophy of the perspective of Batman. When he goes and tries to get trained at a second section of this, he tries to get trained by these guys that are meditators and monks, and I can't remember their actual belief. I think it's Buddhism. But they won't train him because they don't believe that he's truthful in what his thoughts processes. And then he finds this girl, and she's willing to train him to go through the endurance of pain, and she shows him all these different kind of techniques and philosophies and stuff like that. And she basically kind of says that both pains can be conquerable, whether it be mental or physical. The interior is something that you can manage, but Batman was kind of like, well, does it, you feel this pain? You know, she's like, what pain do you not feel? You know, it's just your motivation to go through it. One of the things I guess I taught her with this was, she, at some point, like, she finds out what her backstory is, and even though she was not guilty of it, like, they basically called her a liar and outcast and all this kind of stuff, and then people have just been ragging on her for years, but yet she's been still the peacekeeper, still honing her skills, and basically the people of the village, they go and try to attack her. And by this time, Batman is really skilled when it comes to endurance of pain. And so this guy, like, he comes up to him and, like, tries to hurt her, pushes this thing in front of her, she's just bleeding. And then Batman stops him from hitting her again. And, like, the guy hits him on top of the head, and he just takes it like a G. They're just hitting him with stuff, he's not even flinching. And then all of a sudden, when they put out a knife, he got bucked, you know, and he gave him that business. It was really freaking awesome. But it was funny because one of the things that she says that pain can be out in its place. You have to work through the pain. But then when she was talking to him, basically after he defended her and took care of her, she basically was like, you have to go. Like, you've learned what you wanted, you need to leave. And but he was like, well, why do I need to leave? Because she's like, because I think I've failed you, essentially. And she was like, regardless, you think you were saving me. I didn't need to be saved. Eventually, they would have left. And the whole motivation for Bruce being Batman is that he feels there's a need to be able to protect. But is it from his motivational sense of what he needs to be, that the thing that he feels, which is his pain, that he likes it so that he can be able to deal with it? Or is it that he's using the pain to be able to help? It's a bit of both, because you find out in this, like, she's basically telling him what he needs to hear later on is that even if Batman was not in existence, it's a theory, in her theory, that eventually things would get better regardless without him. It can only escalate with what his involvement is. And I love that part of the story because it's so meaty. And yeah, I love the stylization of how he was going and doing this with his training. I don't like how his cowl looked in this one, but regardless, it was really cool. I'm trying to go through this as quick as I can, y'all. I apologize. The next one, what was the next one called? I forget what the name of the next one. I can't believe I didn't write that one down. I don't think I wrote it down. But the next one, I really liked the next one because it showed Batman in this different kind of stylization, the 2D and CG mixed and meshed, because it showed like different points where you see from his eye point of view, you see different points where it's got this slow motion thing, and Killer Croc is one of the ones that features in this one, and like when they start going at it, it's really vicious. It's really great CG, really great animation going on. And then you kind of see him kind of hallucinate because you find out that Killer Croc had been tampered with by the Scarecrow early in his life, and he's got this stuff running through his blood, and so now Batman's infected. But then like how he ends up progressing through it is just so cool. I think that one looks the coolest, but I think that one before where he was helping Ramirez and Alan, I think that was my favorite episode, or part of this whole entire movie. The last one was called Deadshot. That's really just for the fans, all honesty, that wanted to kind of get a feature of Deadshot, his capacity. Because the dude, like, he can shoot from anywhere, like, do anything. I mean, I'd like to see Bullseye versus Deadshot, quite honestly. But what I did like about this one was the fact that towards the very end of it, even though, like, you get a lot between the fight between Batman and Deadshot, and, like, how is Batman supposed to defend himself from Deadshot? Like, Batman's crazy. Like, there was one point he had him dead to rights, and he's running in line with it. And like, Deadshot, like, that's the first time anybody's ever tried to avoid me by running in front of the bullet. It was cool, like how he beat him and stuff like that. But basically, Batman was like saying towards the end, he was like, I don't know if I should continue doing this. And it's like, it kind of felt like this revolving kind of door. And then especially going into the Dark Knight, like, it makes more sense why they did this for an animational standpoint. But he basically kind of told Alfred who Alfred helped him out when he got shot before and getting him out, by the way. He didn't know if he continued to do this, or he should, or even his presence of being here, like, it doesn't make sense, you know. And basically Alfred was like, yeah, you're right, but he was like, you are here for a deeper purpose. And I was like, I thought that was so simplistic. I really liked it. But I guess that's the reason why I bought this one. Even though I'm a Batman fan, like, I do take into account if something's good, whether or not I want to add to my collection. So there are some really good things about this one. I'll probably give it an 8 out of 10, if not an 8.5 out of 10. There are certain points where I didn't feel like it was needed, and I think they all could have been really connected, in my opinion. Like, especially the gun, because when the guy that threw the gun in the sewer that I talked about the section before, the next one when Batman got shot, towards the end of it, he sees this whole entire gully just full of guns in his hands, you know? And I was like, this is what goes on. Like, people don't want to get fingerprints, so they dump them in it. And so it's like, all this work he's doing, what is it for, you know? And then even going to the next section, like, he's got this bag of guns. Like, he says that, like, I was thinking this was probably the same as that guns he pulled over, but I feel like they could have interconnected them better. But either way, I actually enjoyed it. I give it 2 thumbs up, 8.5 out of 10, if not an 8 out of 10. Hopefully you enjoyed my review for this. Hopefully I wasn't too lengthy. I wanted to give y'all the best detailed description of this as I possibly could. Leave your comments in the comment section below what y'all thought about this, what y'all think about like other forums that's done this, like the Animatrix, or I think some other ones that actually did stuff like this as well. I think that Marvel did something with this as well, with their Blade, Iron Man, Wolverine, what y'all thought about those. But definitely leave a like below if you enjoyed this. Thank you for subscribing. JVS, we out, everybody. Batman. Batman.